Whether he's giving a dramatic performance or acting as the comedic relief, it's always a pleasure to see Oliver Platt pop up in whatever you're watching. There's a solid chance any time you turn on Food Network that you're gonna see Guy Fieri and his spiky hair headed to Flavortown on diners, drive-ins and dives. Celebrated character actors are known for never phoning it in and always making interesting choices with whatever role they're playing. Platt has been one of Hollywood's finest for multiple decades, going above and beyond to leave an impression with whatever material he's given. Although he almost never sees his name above the title, Platt has provided solid support in a wide array of projects. The show has filmed nearly 40 seasons, and that means visiting more than 1,250 restaurants around the country along the way, via diners drive-ins and dive locations.com. He has been a welcome presence in popcorn flicks, Dr. Dolittle, Lake Placid, 2012, The Three Musketeers, a recurring face on popular TV with the word Chicago in the title. He's appeared in multiple episodes of Chicago PD, Chicago Fire, and Chicago Med, and without it, Modern Family, The Good Wife, and Emmy nominations for his work on Huff and Nip Tuck. And he has appeared in more amazing films you've never seen: Funny Bones, Dangerous Beauty, Bulworth, Simon Birch, The Ice Harvest, than perhaps any other actor of his generation. So it's safe to say that Guy Fieri has seen, and tasted, it all. Even when one of his projects receives bad reviews, it seems, critics still acknowledge Oliver Platt as a highlight. Ever since he first made a name for himself appearing in late 80s drama staples like The Equalizer, Miami Vice, and Wise Guy, Platt has built quite a career playing doctors, lawyers, political figures and more, always with a grin on his face and a twinkle in his eye. And you can taste it all too, if you've got a big appetite and you're willing to do some traveling. But where to start? 1,000 restaurants is a lot to swallow, but what if you aim for, say, 50 of Fieri's favorites? Well, MASH'd has done all the work for you. You may know the man for his acting, but let's take a look at some things you don't know about Oliver Platt. He almost turned down The West Wing. Oliver Platt had a memorable introduction on The West Wing, as White House counsel Oliver Babish, smashing a tape recorder with a gavel in order to avoid another Watergate situation after the president admits he may have committed crimes. We've gone across the map, state by state, to round up the tastiest and most funkalicious food destinations featured on Triple D. However, it turns out that as good as Platt would wind up being in the role, he initially wasn't in the mood to do another NBC show after his run on Deadline was cancelled, so he almost said no to The West Wing. As he told NPR, "My manager called me and said Aaron Sorkin wants you to be on The West Wing. I didn't want to do it. Here are the best diners, drive-ins and dives restaurants in every state." Alabama. Sunset Point, nestled on the coast of southwestern Alabama, is the small town of Fairhope, Alabama. There you'll find waterfront restaurant Sunset Point, run by a man known as Panini Pete, who caught the attention of Guy Fieri not for his sandwiches, but his fresh and delicious seafood creations. Relax in the casual atmosphere, gaze out at the ocean view, and be sure to check out the Eastern Shore bouillabaisse, loaded with Gulf Coast shrimp, mussels, and leeks, and the Gulf snapper throats bathed in garlic butter. Alaska. The cookie jar. Next time you find yourself in Alaska, escape the cold and grab yourself a treat at the Cookie Jar, a 30-year-old Fairbanks institution. While the Cookie Jar started out as a small bakery, it's beloved for so much more than its sweet treats. And I thought, well, I've got to read it so that I can call Aaron up. Guy Fieri fell in love with the prime rib with au jus, via Food Network, but you also can't miss out on the homemade cinnamon rolls. And then I read it. They're made with a secret ingredient, potato flakes, and they're a fan favorite. Arizona. Paradise Valley Burger Company. If you like creative, gourmet, and seriously loaded burgers, then you have to check out Paradise Valley Burger Company in Phoenix, Arizona. And that kind of actor thing kicked in, like, well, I'm not going to let anybody else do this. His 8-episode run on the show changed his mind about television, leading to many other roles he might have turned down otherwise. He was told to do a terrible Nixon impression in Frost. Nixon. Oliver Platt's connection to Richard Nixon doesn't stop with the Watergate parallels in The West Wing. He also played journalist Bob Zelnick in director Ron Howard's 2008 film, Frost, Nixon, an adaptation of Peter Morgan's play. Besides wowing Guy Fieri on diners, drive-ins and dives, you've also seen this joint on Man vs. Food. Oh, and it was also named the best burger in Arizona by the Travel Channel. At one point, When he's preparing David Frost, Michael Sheen, for his interviews with Nixon, Frank Langella, alongside John Burt, Matthew McFadden, and James Reston Jr. Need we say more? Fieri chowed down on the country fried burger and the booze burger, smothered in green chili, bacon, vodka cream sauce. Sam Rockwell, he busts out an impersonation of the former president, both trying to anticipate what he might say and lighten the mood with some ridiculous lines as well. It's not the best impression, but it's not supposed to be, as he told NPR in 2010. I talked to Ron about it and we said listen, the whole idea is. Bob Zelnick's not an actor. Wow. But the restaurant is also known for its brulee burger that's served on a burnt sugar bun. Arkansas. Root Cafe in Little Rock, Arkansas. Root Cafe is doing more than just serving up good food. You don't have to be a good Nixon. The restaurant is committed to sourcing 100% of its meat, eggs, and bread, plus much of its produce and other ingredients from small, local farmers and producers. Beyond that, Root Cafe is involved in a number of local community organizations. Enjoy the old world-style bratwurst, which Guy Fieri called outstanding, or the pimento cheeseburger for a little kick, and leave happy knowing you supported a business with a cause. California. Duarte's Tavern. Guy Fieri loves to eat in California, and he's been to nearly 200 diners, drive-ins and dives in the state. But one of his favorite spots is a family-owned restaurant in Pescadero called Duarte's Tavern. As a matter of fact, the worst Nixon you are the better, and maybe the funnier. In 1977, when the film takes place, everyone had a Nixon impression, so the point of the scene is its banality. His father, Nicholas Platt, was an ambassador not to keep harping on our 37th president, but the resignation of Richard Nixon had a personal impact on Oliver Platt, since his father was a member of the Nixon administration. While Nicholas Platt was a nonpartisan career diplomat who would go on to work in the Carter administration as well, at the time he was the deputy chief of the political section at the embassy in Tokyo, Japan. Oliver recounted the story of how he was a teenager living in Japan when the news of Nixon's resignation poured out of the family's car radio. Oliver says that his father's feelings about the resignation were complicated because he had helped Nixon open up relations with China. He once praised the James Beard Award-winning restaurant in an interview with The Street for their garden-grown produce, everything from berries for pies to artichokes for dips. If you want to eat like Guy, go for the crab cioppino, and a local favorite, the abalone sandwich, via Food Network. Colorado. Zoe Mama serving up understated, outspoken Chinese street food in Boulder and Denver, Colorado is the unassuming eatery known as Zoe Mama. The elder Platt would then go on to be the United States ambassador to Zambia, the Philippines, and Pakistan in the 1980s and 1990s. Oliver's breakout as an actor would come in the 1980s, independent of his father's success, but it is interesting that he's had several Nixon-adjacent roles considering his lineage. His brother is a food critic just like the one he played in Chef. Chef is a film about food, but one interpretation of what might be writer-director Jon Favreau's most personal film is that it is commenting on film critics who praised his work overseeing films like Elf and Iron Man, but were lukewarm when it came to the likes of Iron Man 2 and Cowboys and Aliens. Thankfully, the food critic played by Oliver Platt isn't the kind of one-dimensional stereotype found in some films, like Lady in the Water, and Favreau doesn't cast himself as the greatest artist in the world. The way in this star location run by chef and mother Anna Zoe. Guests can get their fill on family recipes like Mama's potstickers and Mama's famous chicken noodle soup. Night Shyamalan did in that film. Platt has sympathy for food critics, especially since his brother Adam Platt just so happens to be one. Adam interviewed Oliver for Grub Street in 2014 and Oliver praised Adam saying, "I'm in awe of what you do. Make sure you try the pork steamed buns and the jjajangmyeon noodle dish," which are just some of the offerings that led Guy Fieri to call this the best fast Asian food I've seen in 10 years, via Food Network. Connecticut. Valencia Luncheria. It's far away from South America, but Connecticut is home to some amazing Venezuelan food, thanks to Valencia Luncheria. If I consumed what you have to consume during the course of a week on the job, they'd have to wheel me from one dining establishment to the next, reclining on the back of a giant oxcart. He agreed to play a psychiatrist on Chicago Med because they usually aren't on medical shows if he's not playing a lawyer. There's a good chance that Oliver Platt is playing a doctor, as he did in films like Flatliners and Dr. Dolittle, or the television show Chicago Med. However, the psychiatrist that he plays on Chicago Med is not the kind of doctor that typically gets featured as part of a wider ensemble. Platt recalled co-creator Dick Wolf's pitch to him in a 2020 interview with Parade. "There's never been a psychiatrist in a traditional hospital show before, and there's a reason for that, but I think the world is ready." This is what ultimately got Platt on board, saying that the world is ready to talk about mental health. His character of Dr. Daniel Charles was popular enough for Platt to reprise the role in Dick Wolf's other Windy City shows, Chicago PD, Chicago Fire, and Chicago Justice. Oliver Platt considers Warren Beatty to be a great friend. In 2016, Warren Beatty finally released Rules Don't Apply, his long-in-development passion project about Howard Hughes. This restaurant tucked away in Norwalk is run by a passionate and highly seasoned chef and is known for its wide variety of unique arepas and empanadas, along with a variety of other classic Latin dishes. Guy Fieri tried out the roasted pork arepa via Food Network, but we've got our eye on their Nutella and peanut butter empanada. Delaware. Farmer and the Cow. Farmer and the Cow in Wilmington, Delaware has become a local favorite for its over-the-top approach to casual pub fare. The restaurant is known for its fully loaded and very extra gourmet burgers, the creative shakes, like one made with cereal, and an expansive bar menu. And despite its name, Farmer and the Cow is serving up more than just bovine bites. Although Beatty has often taken long periods between projects, he seemingly came out of retirement for Rules, his first film as a director since 1998's political comedy, Bulworth, and first as an actor since 2001's Town and Country. In Bulworth, Oliver Platt played chief of staff to Beatty's titular jaded senator, and Platt would also have a supporting role in Rules Don't Apply. In 2016, Today asked Platt what it was like to work with the Hollywood legend again after such a long time between projects, and he said that he and Beatty has built a solid friendship over the years. One of the more beloved menu items, and one that really impressed Guy Fieri, is a burger called That'll Do Pig, via Food Network. It's piled high with bacon done 3 different ways, plus cheese, special sauce, and even tater tots. The deep-fried chicken skins are another hit here. I had a marvelous experience with Warren on Bulworth, and we became great friends. Oh, and did we mention that Farmer and the Cow serves up the only bacon flight in the state of Delaware, via Only in Your State. Florida. Say 7 and Bites. The story behind Say 7 and Bites in Orlando is an inspiring one. The chef and owner dreamed up the idea after a health issue redefined how she ate. One of the great gifts of my working life is my relationship with Warren and Annette Bening, and their fantastic children. He owes his career to Bill Murray. Oliver Platt began his career with some small roles on television and in theater, and would get his first big break in movies with 1988's Married to the Mob. It turns out the reason he got that role was because of some help from none other than Bill Murray. Platt recounted his origin story to Today in 2016. Bill Murray came to see me in an off-Broadway one-act play festival in 1986 and told Jonathan Demme about me. Now, after nearly 15 years in business, Say 7 and Bites has continued to grow, wowing Florida residents and catching the attention of the press throughout its existence. The restaurant was featured on Diners, Drive-Ins and Dives in 2017, and in 2019, it was named one of the Essential 28 restaurants in Orlando by Eater. On any given day, expect to wait in a line that spills out the front doors, but don't worry, they say it goes fast. And John Demme had just lost a cast member from Married to the Mob, he recalled. The food is made in-house at all times, and the owners suggest coming early for your favorites, because once they run out of something, it's gone. He called me up and we had lunch. Platt certainly wouldn't have landed the job if he weren't talented, but having someone like Bill Murray vouching for you certainly doesn't hurt. And you can bet that happens often for the signature menu items featured on Triple D, including the scratch-made chicken pot pie that Fieri called epic goodness, and a mouthwatering concoction known as the vanilla bean bacon bourbon moon pie. Georgia. Fox Bros. Bar-B-Q. When you think of the best food in Georgia, a lot of Southern and soul food probably comes to mind. But when you're in the Peach State, you'll be missing out if you don't check out the barbecue scene.
Around that same time, Platt landed a small role in Mike Nichols' Working Girl, so it seems like his movie career was launching as the result of being talented enough that major opportunities were coming at him from every direction. Oliver Platt has done several movies with Kevin Bacon playing the 6 Degrees of Kevin Bacon. Game can be pretty easy if you remember that Bacon has worked many times with Platt, who has then himself worked with seemingly half of Hollywood. Next time you're playing with someone, feel free to throw out Betty White, Lake Placid, Jerry Lewis, Funny Bones, Tim Curry, Kinsey, Steven Seagal, Executive Decision, or even Diamond Dallas Page, Ready to Rumble. Particularly, you have to try Fox Bros. Barbecue. The restaurant is the product of the homesickness of twin brothers from Texas, who missed their native barbecue when they picked up and moved to Atlanta. Today, Fox Bros is considered an institution in Atlanta, and a must-visit barbecue destination in the Southeast, having gained both local accolades and national attention. To further impress your competition, tell them you can link any of those actors to bacon in a mere 2 degrees. The key is Oliver Platt. And it's such a favorite, it's been featured on several episodes of diners, drive-ins and dives. Specialties to try out include the chicken fried ribs, served with house-made white barbecue sauce, and the Fox Bros. Burger, which is essentially a chopped brisket sandwich loaded up with the most incredible toppings, including pimiento cheese and peppered bacon. Hawaii. Mike's Huli Chicken. Guy Fieri and his red Camaro have been to dozens of restaurants across Hawaii, but it turns out one of the best diners, drive-ins and dives on the islands is actually just a humble yellow food truck. But while Mike's Huli Chicken may come in a small package, the little truck is serving up big flavors. At Mike's Huli Chicken, whole birds are brined, coated in spices, and slow roasted in a custom oven over local Hawaiian wood. And the result is nothing short of magic. Bacon and Platt's first film together was Flatliners, about medical students who experiment with death. In fact, Fieri calls it the crispiest chicken that anybody will ever try that's not been fried, via Food Network. In fact, the methods at Mike's Huli Chicken impressed Fieri so much, they actually inspired him to build his own rotisserie oven at home. Besides their signature chicken, be sure to also try out the sweet and smoky char siu pork. Idaho. Jimmy's down the street. If you've never been, you should definitely plan a trip to beautiful Coeur d'Alene, Idaho. In Frost, Nixon, about David Frost's interviews with Richard Nixon, Platt helps aid Frost, and Bacon helps aid Nixon. And in X-Men First Class, Bacon is an evil mutant who wants to take over the world, and Platt is an unnamed CIA agent who works with the X-Men. Oliver Platt also appeared in Kevin Bacon's feature-length directorial debut, Loverboy, which starred Bacon's real-life wife Kyra Sedgwick. So, if you're playing 6 Degrees, just pick any of the Bacon-flavored collaborations above, and you're home free. He was nervous about doing Fargo because of the legacy of the film. In hindsight, Noah Hawley's TV adaptation of Fargo seems like the kind of thing that any actor would want to partake in. The town is situated on a scenic lake surrounded by forests and mountains on the western edge of the state, and it's home to a plethora of cute shops and good local eats. One of those is long-standing breakfast and lunch spot Jimmy's down the street. But before the show would become critically acclaimed in its own right, it had to live up to inevitable comparisons to Joel and Ethan Coen's Oscar-winning film of the same name, and in the eyes of some the bar had been set too high. When Collider asked Platt in 2014 if there was any trepidation about joining the show, he admitted that there was. The restaurant embodies the exact casual, familiar vibe that its name implies, and serves up made-from-scratch comfort food favorites. The stuff that I was shown and the story that I was told, and the fact that Joel and Ethan Coen had blessed it was not insignificant, he explained. Standout dishes include the chicken and dumplings, which Guy Fieri called righteous, and a huge, gooey caramel pecan roll. Illinois. Kuma's Corner. Next time you're in the Chicago area, get your fix of great music and even better food at the legendary Kuma's Corner. The heavy metal-themed burger joint opened its doors in 2005, and since then, it has exploded in popularity for its hardcore sandwich creations. I have to say that I think that No's done a pretty remarkable job of threading that needle of writing in their tone, but with his own voice, if you will. It's pretty impressive stuff.
His love of acting came from being in a school play. Being a diplomat's son meant that Oliver Platt never stayed in one place for very long, so he always had to adjust to being in a new school. Its infamous Ghost Burger, topped with braised goat shoulder, ghost pepper aioli, aged white cheddar, red wine reduction, and a communion wafer. You read that right, caused all kinds of uproar, enraging the Catholic Church, via Eater. Time magazine called it one of the most influential burgers of all time. It's no longer a permanent fixture on the menu, but they do bring it back every now and then. Guy Fieri reportedly called their Black Sabbath burger, seasoned with blackening spice and loaded with chili and pepperjack, up there in the top 5 burgers on Triple D. This one is also no longer on the menu. but with Kuma's Corner earning accolades like Chicago's Best Burger and being named one of the best burger spots in America by Food Network, you really can't go wrong picking anything off their menu. Indiana. Three Sisters Cafe. They say breakfast is the most important meal of the day, and that's definitely true in Indianapolis, where Three Sisters Cafe is serving up unique and tasty culinary creations that have made it one of the most popular morning eateries in the city for more than 2 decades. Funny enough, there are no sisters involved in this operation, but there are specialties like the Guy Fieri approved blueberry goat cheese pie, lemon corncakes, and French dip-style roast pork sandwiches. However, he was able to find comfort in theater and making new friends through the arts. He recalled a story of when he was 8 years old for a 2005 interview with Film Monthly. And Fieri isn't the only one raving about Three Sisters Cafe. USA Today calls it one of the best restaurants in Indianapolis. Iowa. Flying Mango. A surprising Triple D favorite can be found hidden away in the Midwest, serving up Caribbean-inspired, Southern-style barbecue. From its location just outside downtown Des Moines, Iowa, Flying Mango offers dishes like Memphis-style and baby back ribs, served with classics like sweet potato pancakes and red beans and rice on the side. All those years ago, he was cast in a Christmas nativity play as an innkeeper who only had one line, but he worked hard on it, and managed to make an impression. But what really got Guy Fieri's attention was the smoked catfish cakes alongside cornbread and collard greens, which he described as delicate, big flavor, and about as real deal as it comes. Fieri loved Flying Mango so much, he even chose to feature it again in his diners, drive-ins and dive spin-off, Triple D Nation, according to the Des Moines Register. Kansas. Woodyard Barbecue. When you're in Kansas, you gotta try some barbecue. If you want to do it right, go to Woodyard Barbecue in Kansas City. Be sure to get the ribs, of course, and be prepared for a knockout experience, according to Guy Fieri. The host said pork ribs had the most unique dry rub that he's ever tried, adding that they don't even need sauce. The whole place, for whatever reason, either my timing was good that night or I said it with a certain vigor, but the whole place went nuts when the innkeeper turned Mary, Joseph and baby Jesus away. I don't know if they were supposed to. Ultimately, it was the knowledge that line delivery can change how an audience reacts to a script that would make Platt pursue his dream of acting. He almost starred in an American version of The Thick of It. Armando Iannucci's The Thick of It is known for its profanity, especially when it comes from Malcolm Tucker, Peter Capaldi. Oliver Platt was cast as Tucker in an American remake of the British show, which sounds good, but why bother remaking it without any of its colorful language? Ultimately, while the pilot was shot, it wasn't picked up, as Iannucci explained in a 2009 interview when he was promoting In the Loop, the movie version of the show. We certainly don't need any more convincing than that, but locals are also said to love Woodyard's smoked chicken and the burnt end sandwich. So much so that you can usually expect a long line of hungry customers on most days, via Travel Channel. Kentucky. Grailhouse in Louisville, Kentucky. Some of the best food in town can be found in a century-old Victorian home that's been converted into what they call the city's first bed and beverage, a small inn with a café on the first floor that serves up way more than just drinks. There was a lousy political sitcom version made for ABC about 3 years, he recalled. Grailhouse has become a local favorite, with its scratch-made menu that offers Southern-style cooking using the rich culinary traditions of Kentucky and memories of mothers and grandmothers cooking. Expect comfort food with a twist, like lamb and grits, or their take on a cheesy fried bologna sandwich, which Guy Fieri called, straight-up legit awesome. It also happens to be a favorite of another celebrity chef, Damaris Phillips, who joined Fieri in the Grailhouse episode of his program. Louisiana. Turkey and the Wolf. When you're in Louisiana, particularly in New Orleans, by all means, get your fill of gumbo, jambalaya, and other Cajun favorites. But whatever you do, don't leave without stopping at Turkey and the Wolf. This small, unassuming sandwich shop has garnered some major attention for its eclectic menu of out-of-the-box sandwiches and more. Guy Fieri tried tacos inauténticos made with hog's head cheese. If you don't know what that is, you should probably read this. Fieri absolutely loved them, saying, in true Guy Fieri fashion, "They're going to Flaco for this taco." Fieri also tried the collard green melt, which may be the star of the menu. Turkey and the Wolf was named Bon Appetit's #1 best new restaurant in America in 2017, arguably because of that collard green melt, which the magazine described as otherworldly. Maine. Main diner. In most cases, you may want to steer clear of diner seafood. But that's likely not the case in Maine, and especially not at the famed Main Diner. Located on the coast, just north of Portsmouth, this no-frills, family-owned establishment has garnered national attention with home-cooked recipes passed down by the owner's grandmother, via Seacoast Online. There's a lot to choose from on this menu, but make sure to try the Triple D favorites: codfish cakes, seafood chowder, Guy called it, Maine in a bowl, and Main Diner's signature dish, lobster pie. Maryland. Miss Shirley's Cafe. When it comes to cuisine, Maryland easily lives up to its southern roots, thanks to award-winning restaurants like Baltimore's Miss Shirley's Cafe. The destination dining spot has been serving up southern and soul food classics like chicken and waffles and shrimp and grits, since 2005. It was terrible because they took the idea and chucked out all the style. And southern living dubs it one of the best breakfast spots in the South to boot. Guy Fieri recommends the coconut cream stuffed French toast or the Southern Slammer sandwich, which is loaded with fried green tomato, bacon, avocado and a fried egg. But since you're going to be in Maryland, we also highly recommend the crab cake and fried green tomato eggs Benedict. Massachusetts. Yankee Lobster. Massachusetts is another state that you'd be remiss to visit without trying the local seafood. It was all conventionally shot and there was no improvisation or swearing. The area is known for producing some spectacular shellfish, plus high-quality haddock and cod. It didn't get picked up, thank God. At the time, Yanucci was still trying to make an American version of The Thick of It. I wanted to send it to HBO, and they were very keen, but the BBC sold it to ABC for more money but ultimately for less money, because it never got made. So I'm now talking to HBO about doing a political thing. The political thing he was referring to in 2009? That turned out to be the 2012–2019 Julia Louis-Dreyfus vehicle, and winner of 17 Emmy Awards, Veep. But the true gem of Massachusetts as New England seafood is lobster. And there are few places to get it that could beat Yankee Lobster. The bustling Boston Harbor mainstay is run by a family that's been in the fishing business for generations, specifically within the lobster industry. You can stop in the market for freshly made seafood specialties or buy fresh seafood by the pound to take home. Guy Fieri tried the cod cakes, describing them as the perfect storm, as well as the lobster mac and cheese, which he called ridiculous in a good way. Michigan. Union Woodshop. Something you learn watching diners, drive-ins and dives is that great barbecue can be found in the most unlikely places. This is true in Michigan, where Union Woodshop, about an hour outside Detroit, is now wowing more than just the locals. Guy Fieri was introduced to this place by none other than Kid Rock, and the local brought the chain national attention. Be sure to try out the porker, which is piled high with a freshly ground pork patty, house-made Michigan maple bacon, a house-made hot link, pickled chilies, Woodshop cold smoked cheddar cheese, and something called South Carolina mayo. And if you have any room left after devouring that monstrosity, go for the mind-blowing maple bourbon sundae, which features a Jim Beam sauce poured over house-made liquid nitrogen ice cream. Minnesota. Psycho Susie's Motor Lounge. Minnesota is much cooler than it gets credit for. Besides behind the land of 10,000 lakes, the state is also where we got Prince, Bob Dylan, Milky Way candy bars, and the Game Twister, via Minnesota Post. It's also home to one of the funkiest, most iconic tiki bars in America, also known as Psycho Susie's Motor Lounge in Minneapolis. Psycho Susie's has been named one of the best tiki bars in the country by Food Network, Thrillist, Condé Nast Traveler, Travel Plus Leisure, Time Out, and Esquire. You'll come for their intriguing and somewhat sassy cocktail menu, and stay for the delicious food, like the State Fair blue ribbon-winning Grainbelt battered cheese curds that Guy Fieri tried. Their menu is currently changing, but you can bet that whatever dishes and cocktails they are serving up, you'll go wild for them. Mississippi. Memphis Barbecue Company. Who knew that the best of Memphis could be found in Mississippi? But such is the case, thanks to the Memphis Barbecue Company. Located in Horn Lake, a city just near the Mississippi-Tennessee border, and not too far from its namesake town, the barbecue they're serving up is made by world barbecue champion Melissa Cookston, who's been called the winningest woman in barbecue. Guy Fieri went all in on the baby back ribs, praising their flavor and tenderness, while the locals loved the house-made cheese fritters. Missouri. Shaved duck. Let's just cut to the chase. Everything on the menu at the Shaved Duck in St. Louis, Missouri looks delicious, with its unique spins on Southern comforts. When Guy Fieri made a visit, he tried the crispy skinned smoked duck breast served with cherry juniper jam, and the host couldn't put it down. We can attest. Just watching the episode had our mouthwatering. Or go for the smothered fries piled high with a whole bunch of smoked pork and homemade cheese sauce, which Fieri called killer. Montana. Storm Castle Café. Guy Fieri has been to literally hundreds of restaurants around the country for diners, drive-ins and dives, so when he calls something one of the best things he's ever had on the show, you know it has got to be amazing. In fact, he said you should add Bozeman, Montana to your next list of road trip destinations, solely to get a taste of the Po Campo chimichanga at Storm Castle Café. It's stuffed with carnitas, country potatoes, and cheese, and then deep-fried. Fieri says it's outstanding, adding that it's one of the best breakfast dishes I've had. He also called their farm-to-table take on a Monte Cristo a next level destination dish. Nebraska. Big Mama's Kitchen. Big Mama's Kitchen in Omaha, Nebraska has been putting a whole lot of soul into their soul food for more than 40 years, after starting as a catering company and opening a full-fledged restaurant in 2007. Big Mama wowed Guy Fieri with her oven-fried chicken made with a special rub she learned from her grandmother. Big Mama herself passed away in 2018, and her family continues to carry on her culinary legacy for destination diners and locals alike. Nevada. John Mull's Road Kill Grill. When in Vegas, you can bet on getting an incredible meal at John Mull's Road Kill Grill. Don't be fooled by the name. This family barbecue business has been smoking high-quality meats for more than 3 decades, and doing it right. Guy Fieri absolutely raved over the 16-hour cured, applewood smoked, house-made sausage hot links, saying, "This has got to be one of the best, not just on Triple D. I'm talking in general. And you can't really beat those odds." New Hampshire. Tuckaway Tavern. Hidden away in Raymond, New Hampshire is the aptly named Tuckaway Tavern, and it's a must-try if you can make it to the Northeast and looking for a hearty meal. You could try steak tips from their award-winning butchery or feast on one of their burgers, which have been named the best in the state by Yankee Magazine. Guy Fieri tried a Tuckaway specialty, chili and cheese cornholes. They're basically mini meat and cheese corn dog bites, and we're already craving them. New Jersey. Bayway Diner. You can get some delicious, homemade diner classics in New Jersey at Johnny Prince's Bayway Diner in Linden. It's a casual joint serving up well-known diner staples, but locals call it a special place. And Guy Fieri once called it one of his favorite stops on diners, drive-ins and dives, per an interview with The Street. During your visit, we advise you go big on the Monster Burger, stacked with bacon, cheese, and huge onion rings, or the Philly cheesesteak. New Mexico. Slow-roasted bocadillos. You can find great flavor for a good cause in New Mexico at Slow-Roasted Bocadillos. Located in the heart of Albuquerque, the restaurant was started by one woman selling burritos out of the back of a truck. Now, it's become a local favorite, serving up scratch-made artisan sandwiches stuffed with meats that are cooked for at least 12 hours. And that's not all. Bocadillos also provides over 1,000 meals a day for local schools before opening up each day. Guy Fieri's favorite was the homemade biscuits and green chili gravy. "This isn't your grandma's gravy, let me tell you that much," he said. New York. Pies and Thighs. In all honesty, it was harder to choose the best featured restaurant in New York compared to several other states.
There's just a lot of good food to be found, especially in New York City. But one restaurant in particular stood out among the rest, and not just for its catchy name, but also its scratch-made, Southern food done right. Time Out New York says, Pies and Thighs in Brooklyn feels as authentic as any venerable Dixieland food shack. The unique creations at Pies and Thighs have been featured by numerous foodie publications, including Eater, Bon Appetit, and more. And they are racking up accolades along the way, already having been awarded Best Donuts and Best Biscuits in New York, along with recognition for some of the best apple pie and best fried chicken in the country. If you want to go for Guy Fieri's favorites, try the chicken and waffles, pulled pork sandwich, or pecan crunch donut. North Carolina. Copper Penny. Simple, affordable and delicious. That's the kind of experience you're in for at the Copper Penny in the beachside town of Wilmington, North Carolina. The menu offers no frills, upscale pub food, with a selection of burgers and sandwiches, not to mention some award-winning chicken wings. The local favorite is their take on a chicken Philly cheesesteak called the 109 Chestnut Chicken Sandwich. Guy Fieri said it was delicious and done right. But he really couldn't control himself with the homemade beer-battered onion rings. He told the chef to take those away from him. Another Philly-inspired specialty you gotta try is the hot roasted pork sandwich. After Fieri's first bite, he said it would bring him back to Copper Penny at least once a week if he lived there. North Dakota. Pounds your cross-country diners, drive-ins and dives road trip might slow down a little bit when you reach the state of North Dakota, where Guy Fieri has only made it to 2 restaurants. But don't let that fool you. There is delicious food to be had, especially if you make it to Fargo. That's where you'll find local hangout Pounds doing its own thing, and doing it well. The Pounds menu is an eclectic blend of burgers and bar food plus loaded mac and cheese combos, alongside healthy superfood bowls. Indulge on the barbecue porker loaded mac and cheese, which Guy Fieri couldn't get enough of. He called it a dynamite dish. Right on top of right and add some more right. Ohio. Lucky's Cafe in Cleveland is a farm-to-table as it gets. Not only are many of the ingredients used locally sourced, but they grow much of their own produce in a garden that's right out back. Locals love the quality of the fresh ingredients, which you can taste in each and every dish. It's been called one of the best brunches you can get in Cleveland, via Cleveland. The Reuben sandwich, scratch-made start to finish. We're talking homemade sourdough bread, homemade Thousand Island dressing. You get the idea. Actually left Guy Fieri speechless, if you can believe it. And another celebrity chef, Michael Simon, swears by the biscuits and gravy at this joint. Oklahoma. Nick's Grill. If you want to get your hands on what's been dubbed the best burger in Oklahoma City, and maybe even the whole state, then head over to Nick's Grill and get in the inevitable line that will be spilling out the door of this tiny, no-frills joint. Once you do get up to the counter, do yourself a favor and try out the onion burger, a local favorite in Oklahoma. Nick's version starts with a whopping half-pound of beef, which is piled up with onions and served with a basket of fries and a fork. Guy Fieri called it killer, adding, "That's what a burger is supposed to be." Oregon. Fisherman's Market. For some of the best seafood you can find in the Pacific Northwest, check out Fisherman's Market in Eugene, Oregon. The restaurant and fish market is run by a longtime commercial fisherman from Alaska and serves up some of the freshest seafood you can find in the region. And when we say fresh, we literally mean live. Fisherman's Market is the only live crab seafood restaurant in Eugene, and it also happens to be one of the largest Dungeness crab retailers in the whole state. So obviously, when you visit, don't skip the crab dinner. It's the freshest experience you can get, according to Guy Fieri. Another surprising favorite? The Cajun crawfish pie, also known as creamy, tender and succulent, comfort food wrapped in a flaky crust and served alongside flaky, smoked salmon. Pennsylvania. Honey's sit and eat. In the middle of bustling downtown Philly, a husband and wife duo are making a name for themselves with their quirky, signature, Southern Jewish, cooking style at Honey's Sit and Eat. With a menu offering classics like chicken and waffles and biscuits and gravy alongside traditional matzo ball soup and challah French toast, there's something for everyone here. When Guy Fieri rolled through in 2011, they decided to impress him with their next-level take on old-school Frito pie, 2 ways. There was the brisket Frito pie, made with meat cooked for 5 hours before it's sliced and pan-fried. And one of their former legendary top sellers was a chicken chili Frito pie. It's no longer a permanent menu fixture, but it seems like they bring it back sometimes, so keep an eye on their Facebook page. Rhode Island. The Italian Corner in East Providence, Rhode Island is as authentic as it gets when it comes to Italian delis. Right when you walk in, the massive display of deli meats should give it away. And then there's the pasta room in the back, where fresh noodle creations are being made every day. Not to mention the fact that the recipes, the equipment, the ingredients, and even the chef himself, are all straight from Italy. Get your hands on some handmade tortellini doused in bolognese sauce if you can. Guy Fieri also recommends the brizzato sandwich that's stuffed with juicy and tender house-made roast beef on freshly baked bread. South Carolina. Early Bird Diner. You probably already know you can expect great comfort food in South Carolina. Might we suggest getting it at Early Bird Diner in Charleston? You'll want to try out their version of chicken and waffles first. It may not be the most original dish, but the flavor spin on it had Guy Fieri raving. He said, "The savory, sweet, the crunchy, the salty notes all coming together seems so wrong, but it just feels so right." Another top seller on the menu is the fried pork chop with a homemade pepper jelly, which is so good, it's ridiculous, according to Fieri. South Dakota. Oh, so good restaurant. If there's one thing we've learned from diners, drive-ins and dives, it's that you can find great regional cuisine in the most unlikely places. Exhibit A. The spicy and flavorful jerk chicken from Oh, So Good restaurant in Garrettson, South Dakota. Along with the collard greens on the side, Guy Fieri was absolutely loving it, saying, "It works. I can't stop eating it." Or try their shrimp cheesy hot plate, which is exactly what it sounds like. Fieri himself called it the bomb. Tennessee. Mas Tacos Por Favor. Nashville, Tennessee may be known for its hot chicken, but it's also home to some spot-on Mexican food, at least, according to Guy Fieri. Mas Tacos Por Favor has been serving up tacos and more since the 1970s, and the dish to go for is the tamales. Locals love them, and Fieri called them one of the best I've ever had. And if you do want to go for tacos, try going vegetarian. Fieri said the quinoa and sweet potato taco is delicious, creative, and hearty. Texas. Pecan Lodge. You know what they say about Texas. The barbecue is definitely better, and Pecan Lodge in Dallas has some of the best. The signature dish is beef brisket, of course, and Pecan Lodges smokes theirs for up to 18 hours and serves it with house-made barbecue sauce. This Texas joint is also serving up ribs, pulled pork, and something called the hot mess, a sweet potato smothered with brisket, chipotle cream cheese and butter. Utah. Ruth's Diner. You know, a restaurant that has been around for 90 years has to be delicious. Ruth's Diner, which holds the title of second oldest restaurant in the state of Utah. It's named for the woman who ran it for nearly 60 of those years. The huge menu offers all kinds of comfort food and diner favorites, but Guy Fieri really loved Ruth's famous mile-high biscuits. Diners can enjoy it all, along with canyon views and weekly live music, via Zagat. Vermont. Bluebird Barbecue. It gets cold up in Burlington, Vermont. But you can warm up and fill up at Bluebird Barbecue, which has been named the best barbecue in the state by Travel Channel, Thrillist, and more. At Bluebird you'll get more than just pulled pork, ribs, and scratch-made sides. They've also concocted their own fusions like Pitmaster Ramen, which is sort of like beef ramen, but on a new level, with smoked burnt ends, Texas barbecue sauce, and pickled jalapenos. Virginia. Pearlie's Restaurant and Delicatessen in Richmond, Virginia is not like every other Jewish deli you'll find. And yet locals have been loving it for nearly 60 years, via Lonely Planet. They make everything totally from scratch, and offer menu items featuring traditional flavors with unique twists, like their potato and duck pierogies, which Guy Fieri called dynamite, or the Jewish egg rolls stuffed with corned beef and sauerkraut. Washington. Mike's Chili Parlor. It's true that there are plenty of amazing restaurants serving all kinds of interesting cuisine in Seattle, Washington. But next time you're there, you've got to hit up a little joint called Mike's Chili Parlor, purely for nostalgic purposes if not for the renowned chili. Guy Fieri once called this place, which has been serving world-famous secret recipe chili in Seattle since 1922, one of his favorite Triple D restaurants, via the street.
Mike's Chili Parlor is as casual as it gets, and also probably just as messy. This place puts chili on pretty much everything. West Virginia. Hillbilly Hot Dogs. Perhaps one of the most unique eateries on this entire list is Hillbilly Hot Dogs in Lesage, West Virginia. From the inside of old school buses in the middle of a makeshift junkyard, a husband and wife are creating some of the most seriously outrageous and delicious hot dog combos, like Pineappalachian dog with barbecue sauce, country ham, and crushed pineapple, or the Motham dog, which is deep fried and topped with chili sauce, Thousand Islands dressing and onion rings. And don't forget the almost 1-pound homewrecker, a deep-fried treat that Guy Fieri enjoyed on the show. Wisconsin. Delta Diner in Mason, Wisconsin, aka the middle of nowhere, is everything you imagine a classic roadside diner should be. From the retro sign out front to the long row of stools at the counter and a menu full of biscuits, pancakes, burgers and malts. Guy Fieri dug into the homemade biscuits with red-eye gravy and called it Crazy Town, which is right next to Flavortown. Sounds like it's worth the trip. Wyoming. Café Genevieve at the foot of the Grand Tetons and Yellowstone National Park. Jackson, Wyoming is a growing destination town in America, thanks to its proximity to nature and its destination-worthy food. It's where you'll find Café Genevieve, a quaint and cozy spot serving up refined American fare, like bison chili, tiger shrimp hush puppies, and their now infamous pig candy, house-made candied bacon, perfect for filling up after a long day visiting Old Faithful.